talking to security and this and that, and people are just staring. I can feel them staring, even though I can't see them.
You know, the whole scheme of things, and if you look at that sort of time frame from a point of view of when you're born to when you die, that's only a very, very, very small part, you know, or time of your life.
Thanks for tuning in. This has been Hermit Radio. All right, we're back. It's been a while, everybody. Thank you, though, for coming back and listening to my podcast. I'm Cameron. I'm your host. So this is another episode of Zen Time. So I do want to keep it quick, but it is going to be a little bit longer than the usual 10-minute Zen Time episodes. So first, I want to catch you up on what's been going on. So I went on vacation around October. I went to Vegas, and then I just kind of took some time off. I was feeling pressured to put out content every week, and I didn't want to make poor quality content. I really, these things that I talk about, they come from the heart, and I want to be honest, and I want to make stuff that's going to make sense for you and anybody listening. So thank you again for everybody that's been supporting us. It's been absolutely crazy to see how much growth we've had, because I can track and see how many people and how many times my podcast has been listened to. And I can also see how many countries have listened to it. So obviously the United States, Norway, Australia, Nigeria, Germany, Canada, the United Kingdom, Iraq, Kenya, South Africa, Italy, Ireland, Vietnam, Brazil, and France. So those are all the places that my podcast has made their way to. If you're in one of those places that I just named off, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it, and I really hope you're getting something out of this. Because at the bottom line of everything, that's why I made this podcast. I didn't make it to get money. I didn't do anything to become famous, for sure. Not even the least bit. The only thing I want is for people who need help and who are trying to work through things to listen to this and get something good out of it. So our topics, I don't know if you guys have seen it on social media, but I do post there to kind of give you guys an update to see when and what I'm going to be posting about. But today's Zen Time episode is about mastering yourself in your mind. So this could be a very simple concept that could be glossed over and you may not get anything out of it. But at the baseline of all the things that I've been talking about, it really comes down to, can you control yourself and can you keep yourself in check even when no one's looking, even when it feels justified? Can you do that? Everyone is capable of doing this. However, the problem is not so much when you're by yourself. It usually is involving somebody else, right? A face-to-face interaction with somebody that doesn't necessarily go the way that you think it should have. And then all of a sudden now it's spiraling out of control and you're in this heated argument with somebody that maybe was for nothing. So, and I always like to use examples from me so that it doesn't seem like I'm trying to tell you how to live your life. I've always said that this is just something that I do for myself and what I do to try and make my way through life, because it's hard for everyone, but how hard it is and how much you let it impact you really does rely on you. You can turn any situation into a positive, and that's true. You've been told that since you were a child. It's just whether you want to or not. Not all situations will be easy to be like, you know what, I'm just going to turn my attitude around and I'm just going to pull through it. I am the first to tell you that I understand that. You have the ability. You have the will inside you. You can decide right now, I don't want to think about this anymore, and I'm going to choose to let this go so that I can move on in my life. You have that ability. What I'm trying to talk about is how to use that ability in a simpler way. So I'm going to talk about a story, something that actually happened during this little break that I had. So I like to keep it about me, not not egotistically, this story I'm about to tell, it's not because I want everybody to know that I did this or to think of me as a better person. It's just that I find value in dissecting pieces of my life that need help or that I need to work on, so that other people can see that and maybe there's something in their lives that they can use that for. So this is a story. This happened probably about 2 weeks ago. I was at my work and I found a bird that was injured on the ground. And I could tell that it was injured because it was twitching and it wasn't able to fly. It was staying in the same position, and it let me get close to it. It let me touch it. So it wasn't going anywhere. And I felt absolutely terrible. I have always had a really soft spot for animals, but I'll be honest, I was probably too sensitive in this situation. I was probably a little bit over the top. I was sitting in my car and I had a box that I made and I put a blanket in there and I put the bird in there because it was really cold outside. And so I sat in the car with the heater on, and I sat there for probably about 20-30 minutes just trying to figure out, what am I going to do with this bird? I don't want to just leave it outside, but I also don't know where to go. So I call the Humane Society. I try to call these other places to figure out what I could do with it. And the basic answer I got was, well, if you bring it to us, we can't really do anything for it. We're just probably going to euthanize it. And I didn't feel right taking that bird away from where it was just to be put down. And I know some of you listening are probably thinking, well, that's just that's just nature. That's the cycle of life. I firmly get that. But compassion and kindness, as I've talked about before, it costs you nothing. All I did for the bird was I put it in that box where it was warm, and I put it in a place close by to where I found it, where it wouldn't be bothered by other animals and it wouldn't be bothered by people. And the only way that bird could have gotten out of where it was if it somehow got better and flew away. So I did that, and then I left. I came back the next day, and it was still alive. But it wasn't doing much still. It was just kind of there. I brought it some bread, and I brought it some water. I did what I could. I wasn't expecting it to live. I was honestly hoping it would pass away in the night peacefully where it was so that it wouldn't be bothered. But then the second day came around, and the bird was still there. And then on the third day, when I came back, again, like I said, the only way this bird could have gotten out of where it was is if it flew away. And when I came back, the bird was gone. And the person that worked in the area near where that bird was said that the day before he had seen it doing normal things, and it had been moving around and even flapping its wings. So my best guess is that thankfully it got better and was able to fly away. Now, sure, maybe it died as soon as it flew away. Maybe it walked away from where it was somehow, flew for a second over the fence, and then walked away and then died. I don't know. But what I do know was that somehow that bird was able to get out of where it was, and it wasn't there when I went back. So I'm really hoping that it just felt better and it healed and it had time to heal, and then it went on its way. Because I didn't have any aspiration or delusional thoughts that I was going to be able to save this bird. I wasn't doing it for me, and I wasn't doing it for anybody to look at me and tell me how good of a person I am. I genuinely just saw something that needed help, and I did what I could in my power, in my ability to do it, to help it. Now, the part that I didn't talk about was that the first night I was very upset about the situation that it was in. And I had been feeling like there was not enough kindness in the world and not enough compassion. And I was doubting myself, and I was doubting the world. And it was just a bird. It affects different people in different ways, but this is how it affected me. And so I hadn't meditated in a while, and I knew that the only way I was going to be able to work this out in my mind was to go meditate on it. And so that's what I did. And during my meditation, what I realized was that after a while of thinking about it, the reason I was feeling sad, the first question is, why are you sad about this bird? What came after that was, I'm feeling sad for this bird because I feel like there's not enough compassion in the world. There's not enough kindness. There's not more that I could do to save this bird, to make it better. And when I allowed myself to have that thought, the next thought was, well, you were there. You were there when that bird needed it most. You weren't there to be a hero. You weren't there to make other people see you and do this thing. You were there in the right moment at the right time to do something about it. And somebody like me who is compassionate towards animals or whatever, I did have the ability to do something, and I wanted to do something. Not saying that other people wouldn't, but I did. And I was there at the right time to do it. And then it hit me when I had that thought. My next thought was, I am that kindness that I'm looking for. The thing that's making me sad is a lack of something in this world. But the reality is that I am that thing that I am looking for. I am the kindness that I can produce to other people. If it never again existed in another human being, every day that I'm alive, I can be kind. I can be compassionate. I can be those things, and there will never be a lack of it because I can do that. And I know that that's not just me. I know that there's other people like me, and even just normal people who have sympathy and compassion for animals. But what I'm saying is that I got over that sad feeling by realizing that I had the ability to do something about it. Sure, I may not have saved that bird from dying, and that's the cycle of life. It will die. The only thing that I wanted to do was to give it a quiet place to either heal or die on its own. And when I had that thought, it changed so much for me. And every day since, I wake up with the thought knowing that if I don't see kindness in the world, if I don't see kind things happening around me, all it takes is for me to do something, and then that's changed. And in those acts of kindness I do for others, hopefully they will be inspired to do them for others. I've said this before, you are infinitely capable of bad and terrible things. You can name 10 things off the top of your head that are evil, bad things that humans can do. But you are also infinitely capable of good as well. All it takes is for you to want to and to do it. If that means something to you, and if that makes sense, I hope it does. And what I'm asking is for you to do that every day. Give a little bit of kindness, because it will come back to you. So, I do want to try and wrap things up, keeping it short. One last thing. I had an interesting encounter the other day. I actually met a fan at my work, and we were talking about the podcast. And this person had said that, wow, your podcast about anger and stress really helped me. And that meant a lot to me. And that meant even more that it was time for me to come back, because now I've met somebody that I never met before in my entire life. And this person is telling me that they found my podcast by chance and it helped them. And what I've said from day one is that if I can help at least one person, then this podcast is worth it. And I will keep making it. So that's enough soapbox for now. The end message I want to stop with is, whatever it is you're looking for, if you're looking for happiness, if you're looking for love, if you're looking for kindness, whatever it is, if you're trying to look for your true self, stop waiting. You don't have to wait for somebody to give you permission to go find those things. You have to give yourself permission. And when you do that, that's where the journey begins. And you can start doing things that actually will make a difference in your life and in others. All it takes is for you to be the change. Thank you guys for listening and supporting me. This podcast is going to continue. I will be putting more information out on social media so that you guys can follow up on what's going on, any interviews that will be posted, or the next episodes of Zen Time. If you guys want to hear anything, or if you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them on any of our social media sites. We're on Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, and Facebook, and you can just type in Hermit Radio and you should be able to find it. Other than that, again, thank you. I'm so very grateful to have you guys listening and it hopefully making a difference. I'm on Reddit all the time, so if you use Reddit and you want to chat with me, or if you want to get any more information about the podcast, or if you have something that you're dealing with and you want help with it, I don't mind answering questions, and I don't mind talking to anybody. I'll straight up tell you, for the upfront disclosure, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist. I can only speak about the things that I did for myself to help me, and that's what I would be talking about. So just bear that in mind if you guys are asking me questions or want to talk. But that's going to be it, guys, and we're going to close it out. You guys are the best. Thanks for listening.
There's security and this and that, and people are just staring. I can feel them staring, even though I can't see them.
The overall scheme of things, and if you look at that sort of time frame from